Hi everybody, Nathan Ronen, CFA here with a very meaningful recording here for those candidates in the Level 3 program who are taking the CFA Level 3 exam in February 2024 or even August 2024. This is specifically regarding the essay portion of the exam and how to answer essay questions that you may not know of and give the graders what they're looking for on exam day. If you'd like to continue listening to this particular recording or to continue to receive my updates as I post them on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, please press the subscribe button and the notifications button now so that you can continue to receive them, as I said, when I post them. I am sitting here and it's been a grueling 3 weeks of grading essays of candidates in my program and also candidates who are not in my program, because they're all trying to get that little edge on exam day, and they've been doing one of my or all of my or two of my 3 essay mocks. And I am seeing a common theme in how people are answering essays, and I'm not sure who's guiding them or what's guiding them, but it's really off the mark. And I figured while I was doing this, I said, I think if I get on, YouTube here and I put this out, maybe I could save some souls a little bit or help people out. It's a nicer way of putting it, because I really, from my heart, don't like to see people taking level 3 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And I got to tell you the truth, I'm seeing a lot of people sitting multiple times for this exam when it really doesn't require it. Why? Because they're not focused on giving the graders what they're looking for on exam day. Now, I'm going to give you a very solid example. So I'd like you to imagine this situation. This is not a former exam question. I don't have the questions from the last year's exam or the year before. I don't have any, special, crystal ball with the questions. I'm just trying to show you the kinds of mistakes people make and how they do not provide the graders with what they're looking for and think they might have gotten the points because they answered the question, but they got minimal or no points. So let's take a hypothetical example here. Let's say on the exam, you are given a table, an exhibit with 3 countries. Let's say Brazil, China, and India. Okay. And in this exhibit, they give you all kinds of macroeconomic indicators. For example, they tell you the GDP of each country, and we'll put it in euros. Okay, their GDP in euro terms, their fiscal surplus to GDP, their inflation rate, their debt to GDP. What else could they give you? Their foreign debt to GDP, their annual nominal GDP growth rate, and some other macroeconomic indicators. And they give it to you in percentage terms for each of them. And you're looking at this exhibit and you're trying to make heads and tails out of it, trying to understand a little bit more about what's the situation in Brazil or India or China. And then the question is specifically asking you the following. Cite, and that's the key words, cite, based only on the information in the exhibit, which country's sovereign debt should have the lowest risk. Cite, and then it asks you to justify your choice. So if you select Brazil, great. Justify your response, why? Now, what is a classic example of answers that I have been seeing on these kinds of essays that I've been grading for my candidates and that I've seen people do in the past? They will name the country, let's say like India, okay, fine, and they will satisfy that requirement of citing based only on the information which country's sovereign debt should have the lowest risk. And they'll say India, fine, or China, whatever. So they will satisfy that question, and that will be either right or wrong. And then they will justify their response by giving me information that I can read and see in the exhibit. And they'll just simply say India because it has the highest GDP and the lowest current account deficit to GDP. I can see the table. I can read the numbers. That's not analytical. That's not telling me anything. When you're asked to justify your response, you better support it. And it just shouldn't be like, oh, well, this number is higher than that number on the table. That's not really justifying. The grader can see that. You might get a point for selecting the right criteria, but if you don't explain the criteria and how that leads to the lowest credit rating, you haven't satisfied the requirement. Now, let's pull back for a second. Let's say the answer is truly India. India is the correct answer. China and Brazil are wrong. If you answer China or Brazil, you're completely wrong. You're going to lose full credit. That's it. You're going to lose full credit. They're not even going to really review your answers because your answers don't matter. So if you get the wrong country and you select the wrong country, your history, okay, in most scenarios. Now, what about if you select India? India is the correct answer. Then they will give you a point for that or whatever it is that they've allocated, and then they're going to look at your justification. Now, if your justification is just going to be, lowest current account deficit or highest current account deficit or whatever, or highest debt to GDP, the grader is going to say, so what? You're not explaining anything. You're not justifying anything. You're just taking a statistic off the table and saying, here you go. You figure it out, Mr. Grader. And they're saying, no, candidate, we're not going to figure it out. You don't want to explain it to us. You don't want to tell us. You don't want to show us that you know. So we're not going to give you most of the points or any of the points. And then they'll either give you 0 for that or maybe 1 point. And you're suddenly going to be like under 50% on that particular essay. Okay? You need to be very careful here. Now, what you want to do in that kind of question to get full credit is you want to cite the correct country, whatever it is, India, and then you want to give 1, 2, maybe 3 statistics that are in the table and then explain the statistic to them and why that would lead to a lower credit rating. So, for example, if they have the highest current account deficit to GDP, that's important because a high current account deficit means what? That they are importing more than they're exporting, and that is weakening the currency. Something to that effect, to show them knowledge of the curriculum. That's what you need to do. You can't just cite or recite the statistics in the table and expect to get full credit for that. One other caveat I'm going to give you. If you're going to answer the essay and say India, fine, you'll get a point for that. But if you explain India, if you cite India as the answer and it's correct, and you start explaining it or justifying it by telling me what's wrong with Brazil and China, you're probably not going to get points either. This is very important. I don't care what you're reading on Reddit. I don't care what other people are telling you on a forum, an anonymous source. I'm telling you, as an experienced Level 3 instructor who's been doing this for 27 years, and I've been having my mock essay exams for a long time, doing them a long time, grading them. If you cite an answer and you're asked to support it or justify it, you must justify that point. You cannot cite something else as an excuse, okay? That's called entering the house through the back door. So you cite India, you support your reason with 2 reasons about India. You don't tell me what's wrong with China or whatever, Brazil. That's not answering the question about what's right about India, why India is the right answer. So be careful when you take these Level 3 exams. If you'd like to get some more practice, if you'd like to get feedback on your essays, don't grade yourself. Feel free. I have 3 essays, 3 mock essays. You'll be very pleased and happy that you did them. If you still want to do them before your exam, you can see them on chalkandboard.org. That's chalkandboard.org, CHALK and AND, board, BOARD. That's chalkandboard.org. Take the exam online, just like you would the regular line. I will grade it for you, give you feedback in 24 to 48 hours, and we will eliminate these kinds of silly traps, what I call novice mistakes that many candidates make and prevent them from passing the essay portion of their exam. Hope that helped you out. If you have any other questions, reach out. Good luck to you in your exam in February or in August. Good luck. Have a nice day. Bye. That's a wrap.